ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामयं प्रार्थये स्वपरार्थितं वन्देऽहं गुरो श्रीयुतपदकामं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहना रघुनाथं तं सजीवं सादेतं सारूपं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्तं च कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी प्रशवानसुजते प्रणमामि हरिप्रे पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैर्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita as it is. Right now we are in chapter 5. We have been discussing text number 26 in our previous last week. Today we'll continue the discussion on shloka number 26, which comes as a part of section by fixing mind on Paramatma, Karma Yogi attains liberation. So in this specifically, text number 26 is talking about, let's go to the shloka. So kama krodha vimuktana yatinam yatachetasa abhihito brahma nirvana vartate viditatpara. Kama krodha. So we need, there are different levels. Even subtle desire can result in anger. So it is important for us to understand this. Take subtle, take physical service, very menial service, so that we are able to understand our subtle desires and give up the ego to fulfill the desire, and thereby engage ourselves in service of Krishna, by which we'll be able to overcome karma and krodha. So yatinam, yatachetasa, we can control our mind. The sentient persons, by engaging in service of Krishna, take full control of the mind. And in Havihito means very near future, they achieve the service of Krishna, or they achieve liberation in Krishna. For devotees, it is more to understand service in Krishna. Vartate viditatmana, for of those who have realized, assured liberation in very near future. So those who are aiming for this perfection, for them, when they are engaged in service of Krishna, the kama and krodha easily gets conquered, and then they are engaging in fulfilled service of Krishna. Interesting point that we were discussing last week was this shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada's purport. Yat pada pankaja palasha vilasha bhaktya karmasayam gratitam utgratayanti santah tadvanna rikta matayo yatayo apiruddha shoto ganastam aranam bhaja vasudeva. So if we go to the shloka here, which is rikta matayo, one is karmashayam. Karmashayam means desire for fruitive activities. Devotees who are engaged in service of the lotus feet of Lord, toes of the lotus feet of Lord, can very easily overcome our not a desire for fruitive activities, because this is very difficult. The non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop ways of sense gratification, cannot do so. So, engaging in service of the Lord is very difficult. By mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have got an amazing opportunity to engage in service of Lord. Therefore, you are advised to engage in devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. So now, one thing we need to understand, Rikta Matayo, persons devoid of devotional service. Devotional service is very important for us. Devotional service is very important for us. us. So by chanting the holy names of Lord Vasudeva and dancing, relishing his holy names, so here we can see that bhaja, engaging in worship, palasha, vilasha, enjoyment. It is actually a enjoyment here. So how is this enjoyment or delighting help by chanting the holy names and dancing in tune to those holy names? We worship the Lord. We sing the glory of the Lord. We hear the pastimes of the Lord. In this way, devotees delight in serving the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So now, when we say that there is a element of renunciation, then where is this enjoyment come? How is enjoyment and renunciation related? So, what does it mean that we chant and dance in delight? This delighting means we take pleasure in serving the Lord. We take pleasure in gracefully dancing when we sing in glory of Lord. So our desire is to serve Krishna. That is how we renounce our desire to fulfill our sense gratification. Instead of that, we desire to serve Krishna. We desire to fulfill the desire of Krishna. We understand that during early days of ISKCON, when devotees were on the lower east side, sometimes hippies would join in Sankirtan. They would dance. These hippies who dance in a very sensuous ways. Thereby, their bodies gets exposed. They will be moving their hands and legs in such a way that it is sexually provocative. So, in one such instance, one of the girl was dancing in such a way. The matter was reported to Srila Prabhupada. He advised Matajis to go and talk to the girl and asked her to get dressed beautifully and properly. And then she came and participated in Kirtan. She did not have any kind of malintention. She was under the influence of drugs and under the influence of holy name when she was chanting. When she was chanting and hearing, she just got flipped off and was not aware of what she was doing. Srila Prabhupada doesn't encourage this type of provocative dancing. The basic point is that when we hear Krishna's name and fame, his glories, we experience an happiness. This is highly recommended. And this getting happiness is natural. The point here is that even when we do not experience the happiness, we continue the process of hearing and chanting the holy name of Krishna, his pastimes and glories and etc. Why? Because over a period of time, when our heart gets cleansed, we will be able to experience the happiness. So the first stage is cleaning, and then we release the happiness. Sometimes we feel that chanting is very heavy, it is boring, it is time consuming, tiresome, soporific, but still we should continue on. Why? Because Shastras, Acharyas points out that this is the barrier which we need to cross over to experience the happiness. Bhakti is the means and the end in itself. This process is the means and end in itself. This is the way towards spiritual advancement. So Palasha, Vilasha Bhaktya. So if you see here, Vilasha Bhaktya, that means chanting and in happiness, chanting and enjoying. The devotee should delight in practice of bhakti. Karmashayam are the forces of karma, desire to do fruitive activities. The residual impressions that are there in mind that impel us towards fruitive activities which are deeply bound and deeply rooted in our heart. So that is what is meant as gratita. Gratita means hard knot. Okay. Udgratayanti. Udgratayanti means that we need to uproot. Shantaha. Udgratayanti Santaha. Santaha means are the devotees who uproot the trees, uproot these desires by engaging in devotional service of Lord. And then what they become? They become Rikta Mataya. Then Rikta Mataya. Rikta Mataya means persons devoid of devotional service. Those who try to empty their consciousness by saying they don't think of that, don't think of that. This is referring to sense gratificatory disease, desires. Rikta Mataya, persons devoid of devotional service, they just try to control the sense enjoyment, but it without properly engaging the senses in higher taste. Shrota ganas means the waves of sense enjoyment. They cannot empty the mind, the waves of sense gratification. If somebody is at the coast and decides to make the coast dry, it is very impossible. Same way, it is not possible to empty the mind. The mind will get filled with sensual desires either from outside when we perceive sense objects or from inside world, which means within our heart from our recollection of sensual endeavors. So these are like waves which can never be stopped. Waves cannot be stopped on the beach of in a beach. Same way, thoughts can never be stopped in our mind. There is always some deep impression or some object which can trigger these sensual desires. Therefore, we need to make our mind full with Krishna. So the bottle is always filled with hair. Rikta Matayo is always filled with that. Is Rikta Matayo is not possible. It is not possible. We may put a vacuum pump and remove the air, but this requires a strenuous desire. A little failure will result in filling of the air. Therefore, if we fill the bottle with water, there is no possibility for air to enter. Thus, when we fill our mind with thoughts of Krishna, then there is no possibility sensual desires to occupy it because it's already filled. But if we try to empty the mind, sensual desires will definitely enter through external influence or through internal memories. So we need to fill our mind with devotional desires, devotional service. This will keep the sensual desires completely out. In one of the Delhi program, one of the audience fell at the feet of Srila Prabhupada. For that, Srila Prabhupada remarked to his disciples um, why they are falling at his feet. He was asking his disciples why they are falling at his feet. Then Prabhupada replied, it is because Prabhupada is free from sex desire and lust. The disciples were stunned. So Srila Prabhupada then said that it is not that I have no lust, but I have no time for lust. Srila Prabhupada said, I have no time for lust. Srila Prabhupada remarked this to encourage his disciples. The standard of no lust was very high for standard it was very high for his disciples at this so that is why he said no time for lust. This is what each of us should aspire for. No lust will take a long time to conquer us. However, we should have no time for lust. Lust will immediately take conquer us. It doesn't require a very long time, but we should not give time for lust. Okay, we need no time for lust. Thus, the engaging in constant service of Krishna, this craving for lust will stay in the background. Eventually, it will vanish. Initially, it will be in the background. Eventually, it will leave the ground itself. It will just disappear. This transition may take a longer time. However, if we ensure that lust is just in the background and we just focus on service of Krishna, we will be able to just be, do not fall prey for, will not fall prey for lust. In some cases, the thinking to keep lust in the background is counterproductive. Our thinking should be to be in service to Krishna, not craving for lust or not thinking of lust. Craving for lust just exists. We do not bother about it. Positive or negative contemplation on sense object is to be avoided. Our contemplation should be only on Krishna. That is why yet pada pankaja palasha vilasha bhaktya. We delight in service of Krishna. We delight in Krishna consciousness. So this is the main point of this section of chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. We delight in service of Krishna. Therefore, senses get positive engagement. Prabhupada is quoting one more verse here. Darshana dhyana samsparshe matsya kurma vihagamaha swani apatyani pushnanti tataham api padmaja. By vision, by meditation, and by touch only, the fish, tortoise, and birds maintain their offspring. Similarly, do I also, O Padmaja. So this is taken from Adi Bhakti Vilasa by Sanatan Goswami. Okay. The birds like a hen sit on their eggs. Birds, they sit on their eggs to keep it warm and comfortable, and gradually the eggs mature and they hatch. Thus, there is nourishment of the eggs in this case just by touch. And then fish looks by vision, fish is able to um, nourish the offsprings, the eggs, fish eggs. And tortoise lays eggs in the beach, but it is there deep in the sea. But still, tortoise by meditation, tortoise by meditation on the offspring, the offerings get nurtured. So this we may ask for a concrete scientific evidence. But the idea is that this principle is working out. We do not have the evidence. Only thing is we need to understand there is a principle like this. We do not have a evidence currently for us to understand this. So we have also descriptions of swans, ansas in Srimad Bhagavatam, which can separate milk from water. There is a lotus which is very fragrant. These are some of the examples talked about in Vedic literature in Srimad Bhagavatam. However, we have not come across these instances in our recent past. Same way, we do not know the species of fish which can meditate, which can nurture the offspring by seeing, or tortoise which can nurture the eggs laid at the beach. Therefore, we need to understand the principle here. Thus, we cannot discount the points from the Vedic scripture, but take the principle for our understanding. So there may be different types of swans, different types of lotuses, different types of fishes, different type of tortoise. We do not know them at this point of time. Our capability to know them is not available, or we do not have that capability. We accept their existence on the credibility of Vedas and because Krishna is saying this. The key point that when these examples are given is not factuality of the example, but the principle which is conveyed through this example. Our understanding of factuality is stunted. We do not have a deeper understanding because of our limited capability and capacity to understand and perceive reality around us. The factuality quoted is to be accepted as it is. Then we focus on the principle that is being conveyed and I get a deeper introspection of it on basis of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. The principle explained in this verse is that various ways by which benevolent care can be given by a parent for the wholesome growth of the offspring. That is the basic principle. There are different ways in which this can happen. So when we engage, when we meditate, we engage in devotion service of the Lord. The Lord also reciprocates and gives a wholesome care and provides all welfare to us. When we engage in service of the Lord, Lord reciprocates. When we do not think of Him, He also remains aloof and does not interfere in our free will. A doctor cannot treat a patient, treat a patient if he is unwilling to take any treatment. When we execute devotional service, we start cooperating with Krishna. So Krishna reciprocates. When we are struggling to fix our mind, Krishna also is helping us to keep our mind focused on Him. So we must have a clear vision, spiritual vision of our service to Krishna, and we should meditate on it by constantly engaging in service of Krishna. And these are the ways in which we can. Uh, these are the ways in which we can engage ourselves in service of Krishna. When we do this, Krishna will nourish our tendency to serve Him. Okay, so that is the most important thing. And one important thing is fish brings up often simply by looking at it. Tortoise bring often simply by meditating. Eggs of tortoise are laid on the land. Tortoise meditates on the eggs while in water. Similarly, the devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from Lord's abode, can elevate himself to abode simply by thinking of Him constantly. The engaging in service of Krishna. It does not feel pangs of material miseries. This state of life is called as Brahma Nirvana or absence of material miseries due to constantly immersed in Supreme. So Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain that ultimately the devotee attains Brahma Nirvana. Brahma means Krishna. Nirvana means freedom from material existence. So this is attaining Krishna and freedom from material miseries happen simultaneously. So the next two slokas, sloka number 27 and 28, are very interesting. All verses in Bhagavad Gita are interesting. In these two verses, Krishna will give brief explanation of how one can get liberation by practice of Ashtanga Yoga. Now, if we go to the slides here, we need to understand the thought flow in this chapter. In Arjuna's mind, there are only 2 points, namely action and renunciation, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Krishna explains Arjuna, let us go to the previous one. Krishna explains Arjuna that the action and renunciation are disconnect or not disconnect. They coexist. They can be executed simultaneously. There is a possibility of acting in renunciation. They are not fragmented pieces, but integrated pieces. We need to act, but act with the mindset of renunciation. So Krishna explained when they are fragmented and when they are integrated. Then the question comes whether action alone can lead to liberation. Yes, it is possible. A person practicing karma yoga after a prolonged practice can renounce the world and go to forest, just like in a grihastha ashram, when a person enters grihastha ashram, he employs his action to fulfill all his activities related with his ashrama, and then employs and he engages his senses and sense object in his grihastha life to in service of Krishna. and eventually he winds up his role as Grihastha and enters Vanaprastha Sannyasa. During Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, he takes up the Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or full-time Bhakti Yoga. So these 2 points, which Krishna is actually making in shloka number 3.20. So if you see 3 point, Karmaneva hi samusiddhim asita janakadaya loga sangramam eapi sampashya kartum arasi. King such as Janaka. Janaka was actually a grahastha. So he did his work as a king, as a grahastha, and once his duties are all completed, he took sannyasa and took vanaprastha and sannyasa. Therefore, just for sake of educating people in general, one should perform the work. So he is a good example of a person, king, who did his duty. And so this is what is spoken in 3.20. And there is one more shloka in 5.6. Sannyasa yastu mahabaho dukkam aptum ayogataha yoga yukto munirbrahma nachirena adhigachati. So when we do this, what happens? Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. So when we take sannyasa, when we are engaged in grihastha ashram, we are engaging in service of devotional service. We are engaged in devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, when a karma yogi engages his swadharma correctly, then he can attain devotional service of the Lord. He need not have to renounce anything. He has to act in his position. The synthesis here is that as long as one is in Grihastha Ashrama, he should practice his Swadharma with key focus of engaging his sense and sense object in action of Krishna, in service of Krishna. This means action in Karma Yoga. Once he takes Vanaprastha, instead of encouraging Ashtanga Yoga or Jnana Yoga, Krishna recommends practice of Bhakti Yoga. That we will see in chapter 7 to 12. In text number 27 and 28, Krishna prescribes another method which is Dhyana Yoga, which is part of the overall Ashtanga Yoga. This Dhyana Yoga, Krishna elaborates in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna in this chapter explains how a yogi can renounce the world through practice of Dhyana Yoga. Here Krishna explains Ashtanga Yoga system. In this chapter, he explains Ashtanga Yoga, whereby a yogi is able to meditate on Supreme Lord. The eightfold yoga system is a means to meditate on Supreme, whereby yogi is able to link with Supreme Lord. The core idea there is meditating on Supreme Lord. That is why the chapter title is called as Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana means meditate. Arjuna is not convinced about this practice. Thus, Krishna elaborates these topics, and eventually in the chapter number 12, Krishna explains Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna has to give a glimpse of all different paths which are available to approach him, And in that way, he is explaining the Ashtanga Yoga system. And in 5.29, Krishna is giving a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga. He elaborates this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 to 12. This is the actual progression. So in Bhagavad Gita 1 to 5, Krishna establishes the point that action is much better than renunciation for Arjuna. So Arjuna has to definitely act. He cannot renounce and go. This means Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. After prolonged practice of Karma Yoga, when one wants to renounce the world, he can practice Ashtanga Yoga system or Bhakti Yoga. This bhakti yoga is can be continuously practiced. One need not have to change the process. This is elaborated in chapter number 7 to 12. So now let us discuss Dhyana Yoga, which Krishna is describing in shloka number 27 to 28. Let us read the shloka and the translation. स्पर्शान् कृत्वा बहिर्बाह्यं चक्षुश्चैवन्तरे भ्रुवो प्राणा आपान समकृत्वा नाशाभ्यन्तरचारिणो यतेन्द्रियमनोबुद्धे मुनिर्मोक्षपरायणः विगते च भयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and visions concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward worlds within master and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. So here, one important word is sparsha, sense objects such as sound. Sparsha generally refers to sense of touch. In this, we can see that sparshan means contact of sense objects with the senses. Interesting, there is one shloka. यही संस्पर्श जागोगा दुःख योनय एवते आदि अंतवंत कौंतेय नतेषु रमते बुधाः. So, what does this say? This says that an intelligent person does not take part in sources of misery, which are due to contact with material senses. Samsparsha kya bhoga. Any enjoyment which comes by engagement of contact of sense with the sense objects, because sense enjoyment is pregnant with miseries. It is pregnant with miseries. So Srila Prabhupada is translating samsparshaja by contact with material senses. In this verse also, the meaning of samsparsha is contact with material senses. So sparshan means contact with material surface. The verse of this verse from 5.27 talks more about the physical practice. Samsparshvan kritva. So keeping, if you say setting all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision. So this is talking more about the physical practice which a yogi has to do. And verse number 28, Yatendriya Manovidya, controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. So this one is more to do internally. Yatendriya Manobuddhe, Munir Moksha Parayana. Munir Moksha Parayana means being destined to attain liberation. Means yogi's only goal is to attain liberation. The yogi understands that nothing in this world can make him happy. So he focuses on liberation. Vigatecha bhaya krodha. Vigata icha bhaya krodha. Icha means wishes. Bhaya means fear. Krodha means anger. The yogi then becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. So his focus is liberation, and he becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. Then, uh, so Icha is fundamentally what? Icha is fundamentally Kama. So Kama, Bhaya, Krodha. And in 5.26, if you see this sloka number 5.26, just go there. Kama, Krodha, Vimukta. So we see Kama, Krodha, Vimukta. So what does it mean? Free from anger and all material desires. Then what happens? There is an interesting shloka in chapter number 2. Let us go there. Dukkeshu anudignamana sukkeshu vigata spraha gita raga bhaya krodha. Raga is desire, Bhaya is fear, Krodha is anger. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya. So what is it saying? One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called as sage of steady mind. We will can see one more shloka in fourth chapter. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Ma Upashita Bhavo Jnana Tapasa Utamadbhavamagata Itaraga Manmaya Mam Pachita Bhava Jnana Tapasa Utamadbhavamagata, being freed from attachment, that is desire, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me, taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me. Thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So this raga, bhaya, and krodha are always together. Raga is attachment or desire to enjoy sense object. Bhaya and krodha are anger that we get when desires are not fulfilled. We get furious about the situation and question, who will stop me? Who will stop me? Who will stop me? The fundamental understanding is that we must not have desire to enjoy the material world. We must not have frustration about this material world. If one renounces, it should not be based on frustration of this world. It should be attraction for Krishna. It should be based on attraction for Krishna's abode. Frustration of this world cannot be a sustained basis for renouncing the world. However, when the mind is frustrated, it requires a huge support. So Krishna consciousness can give a very good support, and hence make him convinced that things in this world are not permanent. Only things related with Krishna are permanent. Thus, Krodha also should be given up, desire should be given up, and Bhaya automatically goes off once we take shelter of Krishna. This bhaya is fear of relationship in this material. Due to misuse of relationship in this material, we get afraid of any new relationship. When we talk about ourselves relating with Krishna, we get afraid. If somebody is ripped off all his wealth by his relatives, then he will not believe, trust any other new relationship. That we will be afraid. So there is no clarity on the basis why relationships are failed. So relationship generally get failed because of misunderstanding, because of a desire for more wealth, and so on. Hence, we assume that relationships only lead to problem. Therefore, we do not want to relate with Krishna. This fear puts us in various misconceptions about relations. Thus, we will sometimes get attracted to impersonalism. So, in this context of this verse, Krishna is emphasizing the point that one who is free from desire, fear, and anger is already in the stage of liberation. Yah sada mukta eva sa. We'll take sloka number 27 to 28. Yah sada mukta eva sa. Such a person is always in liberation. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Yes, Sadamukta, yes. In the eightfold yoga system, there is a specific stage called as Pratyahara. In this stage, the yogi consciously disconnects himself from the external stimuli. He fixes his mind internally. With this focus, yogi becomes freed from anarthas. So when we are free from anarthas, all icha, bhaya and krodha are all gone. In this stage, the yogi is said to be liberated. In case of Krishna consciousness, devotee engages in Krishna service. Therefore, there are no other desires. And since we have taken shelter of Krishna, there is no fear of anything. And because we are engaging in service, there is no expectation on material relationship. Thus, when the expectations are not there, there are no disappointments, and hence anger is not there. So Srila Prabhupada in this purport is referring the point that there is no point in closing eyes. The yoga process helps one to become free from all kinds. There is one point which, yeah, there is no benefit in closing the eyes altogether because there is every chance of falling asleep. Nor there is a benefit of opening the eyes completely because there is a lot of being sense object. So Prabhupada here is explaining the futility of the Ashtanga Yoga, which is not practical in this current Kali Yuga. This yoga process helps one become free from all kinds of fear and anger, and thus feel the presence of Super Soul in transcendental situation. In other words, Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of executing yoga principles. This will be thoroughly explained in next chapter. A Krishna conscious person, however, being always engaged in devotional service, does not risk losing his senses to some other engagement. This is a better way of controlling the senses than by Ashtanga Yoga. Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing the speciality of Bhakti Yoga in this chapter. Now, let us stop here. We can discuss this further in our next. We will discuss the next shloka, Bhaktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suradam Sarvabhutana Nyatva Mam Shanti Vrachati. This vision we can discuss in our next class, next discussion next week. So thank you very much. Chakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhubayasya पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय बोल प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल हरि कृष्ण